Alright guys, so I guess this subject is going to talk about two things. One, I'm just going to say it right here. Basically, I don't think I'll be doing any more Supergirl or Flash episode reviews. I'll still do mid-season and season finales. But the point is that I'm just kind of like, I've looked back at my past reviews for both shows and I'm just like, man, there's a lot of anger in here and I don't really, it'd just be me bitching about it, especially this season, and especially what happened this episode really got me to talk about this subject. It's been building to this point, especially with Flash. And with Supergirl, it was going good, but now, with each episode, I'm just kind of like, I'm either bored or people just making really dumb decisions. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm probably not going to be doing any more episodic reviews, but mid-season and season finale episode reviews, totally. But yeah. So yeah, let's talk about the main subject of this video, which is the CW's treatment of villains. And this really culminated from the past two episodes of Supergirl and Flash, those being Parasite and the Flash. Now, the big thing is that we did have the Parasite in here, but he got killed off. Same thing with Shade. Now, if you know your Justice Society or DC Comics in general, then you really understand that the Shade is a very interesting Justice Society villain, as well as he's an interesting villain for like Flash and Green Lantern and a few other villains here and there. He's a very moral villain. He's a very interesting villain, especially played with how Jeremy Robinson did his Maxi series. I thought that was really good. But with the Shade, they just treated him like some 2-bit villain that was just this big dust cloud, and then he was just generic villain number 2. There was no class to him. There was no, there was no class, no, order to him. He was just a random killer. Why not, right? So, and that was the same thing with Parasite, was that they made Rudy Joe and they made him basically diet Poison Ivy, like, oh, I'm all about, protecting the environment. It actually kind of reminded me of that Robot Chicken sketch of Captain Planet. Literally, Parasite was Captain Planet. Only it was more like Ted Turner's Captain Planet from Robot Chicken. Protect the environment, or I'll fucking kill you. That was Parasite. That was CW Parasite right there. But no, they basically relegated, and both of them got taken out pretty easy, and they weren't even the main focus. Let's face it, Parasite's one of the most recognizable Superman villains out there. And yet he got relegated to a one-off and then got killed off and got defeated by Mon-El and Guardian in the first time around, which, don't even get me started on James Olsen's sudden need to be like, I need to be a superhero, even though I can do so much good with a multi-million-dollar company and do so much more than any superhero could. I have to put on a costume. Don't ask reasons. I don't believe in logic. This is CW. Logic comes here to die. Yeah. So, and this is the first time. This has been done multiple times, not just this season, but previous seasons before, where you literally had these great villains and then get taken out pretty easily. Here's another good one, as you can see from this picture. The Top. We've been waiting so long for the Top and Mirror Master to show up, and when they did, they were Diet Joker and Harley. It wasn't even more like the Top. It was more like she was female Count Vertigo, really. And you could be saying, oh, well, you don't like him because he wasn't a girl. He was played by a girl. No, I wouldn't have mind. In fact, I think there was a time where they were DC Comics was talking about a female Top to be used. I was more mad because they just like I said, they made him Diet Harley and Joker. Yeah, I wouldn't have cared if he was the New 52 one. If they made Sam Scudder, gave him the powers. They just didn't make him good. And once again, well, we do have a shot of those two coming back, but really, the Shade and Parasite, one of Superman's greatest villains. I was actually kind of talking to one of my friends, Red Leader and Tillis, about this, and I told him Parasite's going to be on Supergirl, and he was like, does Superman just not have any villains to fight? I mean, yeah, we've had a few villains, like D-list villains, show up that have fought Superman, including Lex Luthor, not a D-list villain. But yeah, it feels like all of Superman's villains are now Supergirl's villains. Like, they're all made to be origins for Supergirl villains. And yeah, you could have really had a lot of fun bringing Parasite back. I understand, yeah, he became a giant CGI monster, but you could have worked around it and made him a parasitic being still. I don't know. They also made him, a mixture of Captain Planet and Venom with the whole "we" thing. And that's kind of the thing, is that I feel like, every villain that we see, with the exception of several, because, yeah, the DCCW does have a few good villains. I mean, Malcolm Merlyn, Deathstroke especially. I think the best one out of all of the DCCW villains is probably Slade Wilson. And I'm actually kind of happy to see him come back, but I have a feeling that during this Alien Invasion crossover event, he's probably going to get killed off, because he's in the Batman movie, and DC's CW is just all weird about, oh, we can't have, two characters in this, existing, because people will get confused because we think people are stupid. Yeah. But that's kind of the thing, is that I feel like there's just there's so much room for doing these great stories with these characters, and I feel like the potential's lost, especially like I said with the Shade, is that the Shade is this great villain in DC Comics that has his own rules. He's almost like one of the Flash Rogues Gallery, where he has his own code of conduct, but at the same time, he can still be an evil bastard when he wants to be. He has a great, backstory with him and Alan Scott. Well, I understand Alan Scott's not here, but you could have had Jay Garrick, or even have him in the Legends show. Yeah. But yeah, and they treated him more like Shadow Thief, really. Anyway. But with that said, I feel like, they're missing opportunities, and it's kind of to come to the whole, one big overarching villain, and we're not going to learn a lot about them until, mid-season finale or towards the end. It's just rinse and repeat, especially of how we've been going with Flash. First we had Reverse Flash, and then we had the whole story arc with Zoom. That was a fucking mess. And now we have Dr. Alchemy and Citraean? I cannot pronounce that name. It's the God of Speed. He's actually not really the God of Speed. He's more like, he's a Mark Waid villain that could actually absorb the Speed Force and displace it to cult followers. It's a bit, I cannot pronounce that character's name. But yeah, that just comes the fuck out of nowhere. We got another speedster villain. Alright. Surprised it wasn't Godspeed from Rebirth, but whatever. But that's kind of the thing, is that I feel like, there's so much great potential for these villains, and I feel like CW just treats them like one and done, and for the most part, there are villains who do get recurring roles, but yeah, I just feel like they just want to make them Freak of the Week. There have been several villains, and heroes even, that feel like they just get the Freak of the Week treatment, and then they're just like, oh, you're not even the big part of it. When really, some of these villains have a lot of great history to them, and a lot of great storytelling you can still do with them. There could have been so much you could have done with Parasite and Shade, and, several other villains, from not just here, but on Legends and Arrow as well. Especially, how they took out Constantine Dracon in the first episode of Arrow. That guy who nearly beat Oliver Queen to death multiple occasions. Yeah, just take him out in the pilot episode. Sure, why not? And that's kind of the problem, and I feel like that's a recurring problem, so it always just it's been really kind of bugging me, especially nowadays. Of just all this great story potential that is just being, I feel like, thrown under the rug for these drawn out, rinse and repeat type stories for all their characters, when really you could have multiple villains, their own multiple goals. The only one I feel like they've been doing that with was Brick, kind of, in Arrow, and Captain Cold before they killed him off. So, yeah. Anyway. So that's kind of my big deal. I know it's just me kind of ranting a bit, but after watching, back-to-back of two villains that I really enjoy just get thrown under the rug, and watch some shitty romance story, blossom between Joe and What's-Her-Face. I don't even remember that character's name, she's so boring. And also find out about HR, which, yeah, I don't care about HR at all. Whenever they say HR, it's like HR, puffin stuff. That's all I can think of. Side note. But yeah. So, I'm sorry this kind of came out as a rant, but I can't be the only one thinking to myself, man, they just totally throw these villains under the rug, when really you could do so much good storytelling with these characters. So you guys tell me, what do you guys think of the CW kind of giving the shit end of the stick to villains? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.